Good morning to everyone. First of all, I just want to thank Anil sir for giving me this opportunity. And for the first time, like there are lots of community groups are available, and few groups do all the sessions online virtually because they are located at different location. So for the first time, I'm doing this session in person. So I'm really excited. I hope you guys also. So the topic which I opted for this session is OmniStudio, right? Before we go in that direction, I just want to give my introduction. Everything is already available on the screen. So I have two variety of experiences that I want to share with you. So whenever I start any session, I just give little bit insight about those, like what kind of expertise I have. So basically, so far I have done 18 years of professional work, and which is having two type of experiences. I started my professional journey with an educator, right? I taught a lot of engineering students in universities, and after that I felt that in university we can teach the content which is already published, right? There is a gap in universities, like how to connect that education with the industry. So while working with universities, I was not knowing what is happening in the industry. So if I'm not knowing what is happening in the industry, how I can impart that knowledge with my students, right? So then I took a challenging decision, which I will be showing my own path, like this 18 years to you in the end. So I have a journey which I have curated. So I took a challenging decision and I jumped into IT industry to understand what consultants do, what developers do, what QA does, what business analysts do. So my 18 years, 10 years I spent in universities teaching to young graduates. Then from last 8 years, I am associated with the IT companies. I worked in different organizations. So I started my journey with Aperio. I hope most of you heard about that name. So Aperio was later acquired by Wipro. I was part of that for 1.5 years. Then that was my initial journey in the IT industry. So I gained some knowledge into Salesforce. Then to upskill myself, I switched to Traction on Demand. That was my another company that I joined. And in that company, I did both the things. Since I was having education industry background, so I used to train people there. We used to hire freshers. So I was doing both the things. I was doing consulting and I was training people on Salesforce so that they can build their career into Salesforce ecosystem. So that was for the first time I used to take sessions, and I would take Manpreet's name, who gave me that opportunity to share my knowledge. And later Salesforce acquired Traction on Demand. So Salesforce has a policy like you cannot do any other thing around your work. So I just left that company and joined Sierra Cloud. And in that company also I did lots of roles like L&D manager. I worked as a consultant, team lead, right? Then after doing so much professional work, I decided to leave everything. And nowadays I'm running my own venture, which is named as Sanjay Gupta Tech School. So now I have both the visions. Firstly, I will be setting up my tech school, which will be like onboarding fresh graduates that we are right now doing. So we will be training them online, offline, and our aim is to help them so that they can get a job in IT industry or Salesforce ecosystem or whatever ecosystem they want to, right? So this is my first goal. And second goal will be, once it is established, so I will be owning my own consulting company where we can acquire some consultants from that tech school or maybe from any other companies, right? So this is what currently I'm doing. And this is like just a summary. As I said you, at the end, I will share my whole 18 years path. Maybe that will inspire you, like how I can transition between different roles and how I I faced lots of challenges and how I overcome them. So I will share that. So as Anil told you, do you know about OmniStudio or Studio? So I will split OmniStudio into two words. First is Omni and second is Studio. Have you heard about the Maruti has a product that is known as Omni car? So why it is called Omni? If you know about Service Cloud, in Service Cloud also we have Omni channels. Now I think you can relate. So now can anyone tell me what is Omni? More than one. So a product which serves more than one works or more than one activities if we can perform, so that particular product will be tagged as Omni, right? So that Maruti product that can serve lots of works, like it can take passengers from one place to another, as well as we can take goods from one place to another. So that's why we used to call that Omni. Similarly, if we talk about Service Cloud, so we were having a term and still we are having omni-channel. So in Service Cloud, basically what we do, Service Cloud, we use to interact with our customer so that if they have purchased your product, so we can see how well they are using that product, and if they want to raise any case. So through different mediums, they can register the case. So we have email to case, we have web to case, we have phone, like directly to your customer executive, they can make a phone call and they can create a case for that. So we have variety of channels. Chatbots are there now, agent force is coming up. So these are part of Omni channels. Now coming on to the topic, Omni Studio. So Omni means multiple works we'll be doing, right? Multiple problems we'll be solving. Now coming up, Studio. So again, I will take an example. So do you think this whole entire space is looking like a studio? So like what we can do with the studio? Have you heard about Photo Studio? So in studio, basically we do some experimentation to generate something, right? In studio, we can do some experimentation so that we can generate something. So that's why it is called as Omni Studio. Multiple things we can do, and it is providing you a platform where you can experiment some things, right? There are lots of components available. As a Salesforce enthusiast, you might be thinking like, what will happen if I learn Salesforce Omni Studio? How I can defend my Omni Studio skill set? So we have these two certifications. We have one for developers and another for consultants. So developer who builds solutions, they will be developing whatever architects and business analysts will be sharing with them, right? They will be focusing on the task and user stories, like this is the requirement and I need to build those. But if we talk about consultant, so consultant is a end-to-end role. You will get a chance to interact with the customer. You will receive some requirements on high level side. You will analyze them. Okay, so as a consultant, you need to understand how well that product will be suitable for solving that problem, right? And as a developer, you just know, I have this requirement, I know OmniStudio, I will be able to solve this problem, right? So consultant is a bigger role. And I was discussing with Anil prior to this session, like they have this mindset over horizontal, like everybody is like working in a consulting way, not a role specific way. So I would say if you want to choose any one certification out of these, so just go for the consultant one because it covers the development part as well. And if you just want to stick on the development side only, then only you can go for the developer certification, right? Now, coming on to the next part. So we have some requirements like why OmniStudio is so much popular. So you might have heard about two things. There are two types of job opportunities available. One is like OmniStudio developer and another is Velocity developer. So Velocity is a full-fledged company which was acquired by Salesforce. So in initial days, if I go to the next slide, you will get to know. So Salesforce initially started working on functionality-based clouds. Salesforce started with the Sales Cloud. That's why its name is Salesforce. Okay. Then they produced Service Cloud, then Marketing Cloud, Commerce Cloud. Then there was one cloud known as Community Cloud, which is nowadays known as Experience Cloud. So those are functionality-specific cloud. Why they are functionality-specific? Because they focus on end-to-end solution of particular department, and they can be used by any business organization, right? If you are into education industry, you can use Sales Cloud. If you are into health industry, you can use Sales Cloud. If you are into automobile industry, you can use Sales Cloud. Okay, it fits with every industry. Then there was a company, Velocity, who developed industry-specific clouds. Okay, to solve industry-specific cloud problems, they developed a product. So once Salesforce acquired Velocity, now Velocity, whatever they develop, that product will be part of Salesforce itself. So Salesforce rebranded those industry clouds, and now it is known as Salesforce for Industries. Okay, so it is a product of Salesforce now, right? And if you get a chance to work on industry-specific cloud, so you need to know a tool which is known as OmniStudio, right? So if you are working on functionality-specific cloud, we already have a product called Flow Builder, right? Through that you can build the solution. But in case of industry-specific cloud, we will be using OmniStudio, which has more functionality as compared to the Flow. We will be comparing that. I will be giving you some demonstration like how this OmniStudio is beneficial if you use as compared to the Flow, right? So if I go to the next, previous slide, what is the necessity of these clouds? Suppose we are talking about Salesforce with a customer, right? We need to explain why Salesforce is important for them. So if you are interacting with a customer, right? So first of all, if you are going to interact with a customer, so you will be explaining about Salesforce or you will be understanding the pain points of their business. What you will do? You will start explaining Salesforce or you will understand why they need Salesforce. We need to understand. That's how you will be selling the product. So these are the customer expectations from Salesforce right from the beginning, right? So Salesforce is on cloud. Why cloud is so popular? Because it can be accessible from anywhere. It can be accessible from any device, and 24/7 you can access those products which are available on cloud, right? So Salesforce basically solved this problem, and they started with the Sales Cloud, and now all the functionality specific cloud, they merged with the industry specific cloud. So now they are targeting like which industry, like every industry is running a business. So they are targeting like how they are solving their problems, right? So they are just finding the gaps. And based on those gaps, they are creating a data model, right? If you are associated with the health industry, let's say, if we take example of Fortis Hospital, like Fortis has lots of locations. Okay, they have variety of hospitals at different locations. So they will be managing lots of patients' data, doctors' data. They have lots of functionalities, right? So all those things cannot be taken care by Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, Experience Cloud, right? Because they can attract leads, they can convert those leads into potential customers, right? But they need different data model that should be built on top of that, right? So that's where industry clouds come in the picture, right? So they understood the pain point of particular industry, and that's how they have variety of clouds available. Those clouds are known as Salesforce for Industries, right? So these are the requirements which Salesforce is focusing, and basis on that, they are building the solutions. And if you see, first point says all the functionality specific cloud, and second point covers all the industry specific clouds which are currently available in the market. And if you get a chance to work on these clouds like financial services, health cloud, government. So for government also, they have developed a data model that can be used. And for solving those problems, you can use OmniStudio as a tool. So there are two tools which are popular in case of this whole industry clouds. One is OmniStudio, and second one is Industry CPQ. So Salesforce has two CPQs. One is specifically built by Salesforce. That is normal CPQ, which is built on top of Sales Cloud. And we have another CPQ which is built around industries. That is known as Industry CPQ. So if you go for, if you go on Trailhead and if you research about the certifications, so you will find two certifications. One is for CPQ and one is for Industry CPQ, right? Okay, so this is the way Salesforce is approaching to the customer and presenting their solutions. They have Salesforce clouds, okay, functionality specific cloud. They have specific industry model. If it is useful, then particular industry will be buying those licenses. If not, then they can use the sales, service, marketing, those clouds for managing their business. Then through these clouds, we can handle lots of processes, right? And these solutions, these are the solutions as per the best practices, they will be meeting the requirement of particular business. So end goal of Salesforce is like their customer should be happy. So you might have heard about this quote which I said, Salesforce is a customer company. Salesforce is a customer company. So end goal of Salesforce is their customers should be happy. And their customers are business organizations, right? And all the Salesforce partner companies are playing vital role in that direction. So we have 3 entities now: Salesforce, the product company, business who is using Salesforce, and the partner company which is working as a bridge between Salesforce product and the customer, right? So if Salesforce is aligned, like they are making their customer happy, so Salesforce partner responsibility is to make the customer happy, right? Then only you will be aligned with the goal of the Salesforce, right? Okay, let's understand what OmniStudio is. So there are 2 terms popular in Salesforce ecosystem, and why lots of people are attracted into Salesforce so that they can make their career. So there are 2 terminologies. One is low code development and another one is code, low code and code. And in future, there might be possibility no code, okay, which is right now, yeah, completely not available, because we can associate programming with the low code. So that's why it is low code. So next target will be low code. And in some web development area, it is already available. Like GoDaddy says, without any coding knowledge, you can configure your website. So that is completely no code for the customer. Okay, but for developer, those platform will be built based on the code only. So all these points will explain you. Like OmniStudio is a low code development tool. Low code means you will be doing less code and more you will be doing drag and drop. Okay, through drag and drop, you will be able to build the solution. Okay, so if you get a chance to build a solution through low code and code, which option you will prefer? Obviously low code. So that has lots of advantages. So it means it will be beneficial for the customer if they go for low code, because they will be able to maintain those things. If you don't know coding, still you will be able to configure the things which are already built. At least you will be able to understand what is the flow, how this problem is implemented through those low code development tools, right? So that's why this tool is becoming popular, and that's why flow is also becoming popular. And nowadays, if you read about Agentforce, so if you start using Agentforce, then you need to learn about flow as well, because it will be integrated with the Salesforce for some actions, whatever action you want to perform in the backend. So you can integrate Agentforce with flows. So both the tools are important. One is targeting for the functionality-based cloud, and one is associated with the industry-specific clouds, right? So let's move on to the next part. Yep, so this is the end-to-end Salesforce OmniStudio. With this slide, you will be able to understand what we'll be doing in OmniStudio, right? So there are total 3 layers available. So generally, if we implement any software, so there are only 3 entities involved. One is front end, second is back end, and third is you will be migrating that application that you are building from one instance to another. Okay, it fits with any software that you are building. If you are building any mobile application, then also these 3 layers will be there. If you are building any Salesforce application, then also these 3 layers will be available. If you are building any website, then also these 3 layers will be available there. Okay, so OmniStudio has all 3 layers. And when I will be explaining, I will be relating it with flow as well as code. Okay, so if you talk about digital experience is the front end. Okay, here you will be building 2 components. One is FlexCard and another is OmniScripts. Okay, if I compare the first layer with flows, so if you have used flows, in flows we have ScreenFlow, which builds front end for your application. Okay, if I go for code, you have Lightning Web Components or Aura Components, or if we go in like 2015-16, we used to have Visualforce, which was available with Classic. So all these things are built through code. In flows, we have ScreenFlow, and in OmniStudio, you will be building FlexCard and OmniScripts. Now, how they are different, in upcoming slides, we'll be discussing those. Second is service management layer. It is again having 2 components. One is integration procedure, and second thing is data mapper. Data mapper, last year they renamed. If you find some existing org, like if you're working on a client project that they purchased their org like previously, not this year, from, if you take an example of 2014, prior to 2014, if they purchased their org, so that data mapper was called as Data Raptor. Okay, its previous name was Data Raptor. Nowadays it is known as Data Mapper, right? Why it is Data Mapper? Because it does data mapping. Okay, if you want to perform some sort of mapping, we use Data Mapper. Now let me relate it with the code first. So in programming, you might have heard about SOQL, DML. Okay, SOQL to query the data, and DML to manipulate the data, like insert, update, delete. Okay, so those operations we do with the help of Data Mapper, right? So Data Mapper controls your data. You can fetch the data, you can manipulate the data. Then next is IP. Okay, so IP integration procedure is related to Apex. In Apex, we implement conditional statements. In Apex, we implement loops. So all those things we can implement in integration procedure. Okay, can anybody relate these two entities with Flow? Like in Flow, how we do these calculations? If I want to relate Data Mapper, so in like in OmniStudio, we have Data Mapper. In Flows, what you have for data manipulating? Yes. Data elements. Okay, create record, update record. So there are 4 entities available: create, update, delete, and get. Okay, and for integration procedure, do we have any action there?
Yeah, so call to Apex, like there was an action.
We can call Apex. What others? Loop is there. Loop element is there. Then what? Assignments, email action. We have decision. Okay, all those different components are available there as well. So those can be related with IP, integration procedure. Okay, now third layer is developer experience. Developer experience layer says if you want to migrate your components from one org to another, so you can use either IDX build tool or Workbench. Okay, so it can be related with ChainSet, Ant migration tool. Okay, so those tools are already available to migrate components that we develop in Salesforce org from one environment to another. So these are specific to OmniStudio components, right? Now you might be thinking, if Flow is available, why we are using OmniStudio? Can anybody defend this with this discussion? Because everything is available in Flow and everything is available with OmniStudio as well. Code we understand, yes.
For customization, we don't have to write actual Apex here.
So in Flow also we don't write.
But to call Apex, we have to write Apex and then.
That we can do here as well. Yeah, this can be one answer. Like we have 2 UI option available. In Flows, we have only one, that is screen flow. The main difference is, can you use flow get record element into another flow? Or any decision element into another flow? No. Here we can. So this is distributed. It is not dependent. If you are creating flex card, so that flex card can be associated with any OmniScript. If you are creating OmniScript, it can call any data mapper. Okay, so data mapper is not tightly bounded with OmniScript. So there are 2 terminologies, loosely coupled and tightly coupled. Flow is tightly coupled. All the elements are used in that flow. If you want to reuse, you need to reuse the whole flow. Okay, so whole flow means whole functionality. Suppose I don't want to use the decision element, so still I need to use that because that is how it is used with other flows. But in case of OmniStudio, all these components are loosely coupled. Okay, you can reuse these components with other components. So this is the major advantage of using OmniStudio, right? And it gives you lots of leverage. Like if you have created a component and if you want to use it with another component, so you don't need to write, you don't need to create that component again and again. But in case of flow, you need to build whole component again because that is tightly coupled within a flow, right? So this is a high level difference. When we'll be understanding these components in detail, then we will realize few more differences, right? And I think with code, everybody can relate. In code, like if you are implementing integration procedure, so here you don't need to write test class, but if you go for Apex, you will be writing test classes. Lots of code you need to implement, you need to remember the syntax as well. But here, since it is point and click, you will be dragging and dropping and all the things will be done quickly. So this is how your OmniStudio like tools will be connected. Just look at this slide and understand how components are connected. So we have IP1, IP2, IP3. IP means integration procedure, where actual business logic we will be implementing. Okay. Then this IP is interacting with billing data, account data, weather data, and account data. So we have 3 different IPs and they are interacting with Salesforce or outside Salesforce. Okay. Now, if we go for the next slide, so it will be focusing on the steps. Like if you are building an IP, so an IP can have different actions. In flows also we have actions. Similar to flow, we can create different actions in IP also. Okay, this is just IP. All the steps will be related to IP, and that IP can be used with other IP, or it can be used with OmniScript or data mapper. Anywhere we can integrate it, right? Okay, so let's understand FlexCard and OmniScript difference. So it is very simple. OmniScript can be directly compared with ScreenFlow. In ScreenFlow, we have different screens. We have a guided path. Like on the screen, you will be doing one particular operation. Then if you go to the next screen, you can do another operation. So if you want to have a guided path, you can use OmniScript. So in insurance domain, okay, in Salesforce, we have a functionality for insurance domain. If you want to build a solution, so suppose you are buying an insurance policy. So on one page, you have all the details, or it gives you a guided path. Guided path. First, you analyze like which insurance policy you want to purchase. Then if you select, you will go to the next step. Then for that particular insurance policy, you will be having specific details. Okay. Then maybe you will be providing your details or your family details on the third step. Then in the fourth step, maybe you will be doing some payment. So that is a guided path which can be built through OmniScript. Okay. This type of configuration we can do in ScreenFlow also. And we have one more thing, that is FlexCard. Now, you don't want a guided path. You just want to place a component on the Salesforce UI. Okay, a simple card where you want to show some data, you want to show some buttons. If you click on that button, some create record, update record functionality you want to perform. Simple card, no other steps. Then we can create flex cards. Okay, so you can compare it with LWC. All these things we can do in LWC also. In Lightning Web Component, we can create a card. Lightning card element is there. On that Lightning card, you can place the components, and that one card can be placed on any Lightning page. And in Lightning Web Component, we can create guided path as well. So you can jump from one screen to another, and that guided experience you can provide to your customer. Okay, but for that, you will be writing lots of code, and here it can be done through point and click. So if you are creating a guided path in Lightning Web Component, so it can take whole day. But here you can create that guided path within 30 minutes. That's how it is faster as compared to the code. Okay, so this is about digital experience layer. Now moving on to the next part. Yeah, so this is the UI, like how your OmniScript will look like. You will be seeing this type of guided path. Okay, it is improved. In Flow, we don't see these steps as well. Okay, if you are building any flow, you don't see those steps, but in OmniScript, all these steps will be visible. You will be able to see on which step you are, and accordingly, you can fill the data. So it shows the guided path to you, right? Okay, this is how OmniScript will be built. So this is the backend of OmniScript. I will show you in the demonstration how this can be configured and how it can receive the data. So different actions you will be receiving, like first action, if you see, we are reading account information. Then in the second action, we are using data mapper. So in this OmniScript, we are connecting data mapper with OmniScript. Okay, so this data mapper can be connected with any other OmniScript as well. So every component has their own, their own file. It can be mapped with any component inside OmniStudio. Okay, then we have service management layer. So it includes data mapper and integration procedure, which we already discussed. So if we go deeper, so this is data mapper. Okay, if you analyze this table, you can easily relate it with Apex. In Apex, we have SOQL. In Apex, we have DML. Okay, so all those operations we can do through data mapper. Right? If you are writing SOQL, you need to remember the syntax. If you don't know, then you will be Googling that and you will copy paste. Here you don't need to remember, UI will be available. You just need to point and click, fill some values. Automatically it will be working. So any non-technical person, even someone who is working in the IT department who doesn't know anything about the coding, by seeing that UI, they will be able to populate the values and will be able to execute that. So that's why customer prefer low-code tools, because they themselves also will be able to analyze, will be able to modify if they have little bit Salesforce knowledge. Okay. So data mapper turbo extract works with single object. Data mapper extract works with multiple objects, parent to child, child to parent SOQL we can perform. Data mapper load basically used for create, update and upsert operations. And transform, if you want to manipulate the data, then we can do. So if you have a list of records you want to reduce, you want to apply some filtering, so that operation we can do through data mapper transform. So if you want to build end-to-end solution where UI is also involved, then it comes in the picture. Yeah. And if you are working with data mapper, so data mapper mainly focuses on JSON. So we can use JSON and XML, but in most of the cases, we'll be preferring JSON, right? So in JavaScript, if you want to create any data, so we use key value pair. Okay, so if you look onto the screen, so we have annual premium, then $235. So annual premium will be key and $235 will be considered as value. So in Apex, we use map for that. In Apex programming, we create map to store key value pair. But in case of OmniStudio, if you want to handle that, so in JavaScript, we have object notation, which enclosed in curly braces. Okay, so we have two notations, square bracket and curly brace. Square bracket denotes list and curly braces denotes object. And inside object, we can have key value pair. Okay, so entire your data mapper will be dealing with the JSON. So first you need to understand how to write JSON. Okay, first you need to understand how to write JSON. So you can write JSON for one record. You can have multiple records in form of list. You can have nested list. So you should be good in JavaScript, this JSON format. You need to read, you will be able to read that before you start writing your data mapper and IP. Okay, so first you need to understand how to write JSON, how to read that which is already available, right? So if you're able to do that, then only you will be able to write your data mapper properly, and whatever outcome it will be giving to you, you will be able to understand that. Okay, and the best part is that is not available in Flow. If you are getting some data through data mapper, so there are some functionalities available, you can manipulate that. Okay, so for example, you are getting data and field label is very complex. Okay, it is having multiple words, you want to simplify that. So here in this example, if you see annual premium, the key is velocity underscore ins underscore annual premium underscore C. So we changed it with annual premium only. So this type of manipulation you can do with data mapper. This thing is not available in Flow. Here we have, API name was the key. So its label we changed in the further JSON, in the data mapper only, yes. So outcome will go to the OmniScript. So this key in form of API will not go, only that part will be transferred there. Then comes integration procedure. So integration procedure basically works on the server side. Whenever your like customer or user is running any UI component which is having IP internally. So on the client machine, if you perform any operation, so it goes to the server, and on server it will process, then it will return the results. Okay, and in IP we can have any number of actions similar to Flow. I hope many of you have configured the Flow. So in Flow we have different actions. So similarly in IP also we can define lots of actions, and the advantage of IP is it can execute all those actions in a single server call. Okay, so your request will go to the server, will process that, and then response will be coming onto the UI. Okay, so these are the blocks we can define in IP. Okay, you can create a cache block, you can create conditional block, you can create loop block, you can create try-catch block so that you can handle the exceptions. So the things which we can do through Apex programming, all those things we can do here. And it is much more than Flow. In Flow, like these things are not that much properly implemented the way it is implemented in OmniStudio. I am not saying Flow is not capable to do those things. It can do, but here usability is like more powerful as compared to the Flow. And these are the actions we can perform. Okay, we can call data mappers, we can call Apex. So through flow, we can call epics. Through this IP also, we can call epics. So there are some situations where your low-code tools won't be able to handle the situation. For example, nested loops. If you have a problem where multiple, like nested lists you are having, where you need to implement 2 or 3 loops, as per best practice, it is recommended to have less nested loops. But if you have nested loops, then these low-code tools will be very difficult to manage, right? So in that case, you can create a Apex class, and that Apex class you can call into the this IP or flows, and then you can perform the actions, right? So that's why it is called as low code, not completely no code. So whenever you feel like this problem I won't be properly able to implement in IP, so go for the code, and that will be resolving all your problems in managing those nested loops, maps. Map also we are not able to manage properly in low code tools. So that can be easily managed through Apex, right? So for few requirements, you can go for the Apex so that you can easily or fastly implement your solutions. Okay, then we can send emails, we can call IPs, we can call APIs. So through IPs, we can call API, we can fetch the data that is available on other systems, or we can push the data that is available in Salesforce. So both ways it works.
So can we do asynchronous operations through IP?
Yes, we can do. You can call Apex class, and through Apex you can call future and whatever operations are there. This way you will be able to do. So there will be 2 slides I will be showing you. First is IP data input, like from which sources IP can receive the data and what actions are available for that. So IP can receive data from Salesforce. When we talk about Salesforce, it means Salesforce objects. Okay, all the data in Salesforce is available in objects only. For that, we'll be using data mapper. And in IP, we have data mapper extract action. So this is the answer to your question, how data mapper will be utilized. So data mapper will give data to the IP. IP can manipulate that data, and further it can pass that data to the OmniScript so that it can be shown to the user, right? So in Lightning Web Component, we create data tables to showcase the data. So in the backend, we'll be using Apex programming for that, or we can use LDS, Lightning Data Service. Through that, we can fetch the data. But we need to write code for that purpose. But here, you just need to create data mapper extract action. You can associate it with the IP. IP can pass the data to the OmniScript. Then we have API outside Salesforce if you want to fetch the data, like weather data, any phone number you want to validate, any sort of data if you want to fetch. We have HTTP action for that. Is it available in Flow also? Can we do same functionality in Flow? Yes. We can, nowadays it is available in Flow, earlier it was not available. Okay. Then we have anything that Apex can access. So we can call Apex through remote action. So if Apex is already built, you want to reuse that code. This is another requirement. Why to call Apex? Suppose one developer already built the Apex. Now same functionality you want to use in the your IP. So if you rebuild that, it will take time. And if you want to call that Apex class, so you just need to write the syntax in that way so that it can be called with your remote action. Okay, so pre-existing code also you can connect with your IPs. Okay, so this is how Salesforce IP fetches data, OmniStudio IP, and this is how IP will pass data to destinations. Okay, so these are different actions which are available in IP, and through IP we can pass data to these locations. Okay, so within IP, if you want to showcase data, we have response action. If you want to preview the results, then we have data mapper post action, it passes data to the Salesforce. Then we have delete action to delete the data. We have HTTP action so that we can push data to the IP. Then we have email action or DocuSign envelope action. Both will be sending emails to the customer. Okay, so all these actions are pre-built. You just need to configure and quickly you will be able to build the solution. So OmniStudio is a complete package. Everything we can do through OmniStudio that can be done through code. Okay. Now this is a quick comparison. And if you are a hardcore developer, if you compare this, like you are doing things in 4 hours and OmniStudio developer is doing that thing in 1 hour. So customer will prefer 1 hour developer because they are paying for each hour. Okay, because nowadays customers also knows which tool can build the solution in what time. So they know low-code development tools can build solution in less time. So this is second point why a customer wants to go with a low-code tool, because they need to invest less. Okay, they can maintain, but they need to pay less because through low-code development tools, things can be easily and fastly built. And these are major minor tasks. This is hypothetical situation. Okay, for some situation it can increase, decrease number of days and hours, but this is hypothetical. Okay. Now, developer experience layer, it is very simple. Like if you want to migrate your components from one environment to another, then you can use these tools. So you don't need to use chain set and ent migration tool. With OmniStudio, these entities are available that can be used to deploy. Okay. So IDX build tool is basically based on command line, and your workbench is a desktop application which also has point and click functionality. You just need to select the components and it can be deployed, right? Okay, this is a famous quote which I use in my sessions. So right now, whatever we discussed, I think out of this 10-15% you will take with you. Okay, if you have written some notes, so maybe whenever you will open that notebook, you will recall like that session happened and we got to learn that thing. But now if we see it practically, we talked about this DML, we talked about SOQL. If I show you how this happens practically, then you will have a memory for lifetime, like this way data was fetched and I was able to see that. So this is the part of demonstration. So let's move there. So first we'll see how data mapper turbo extract actually works, how quickly we can fetch the data. And any non-technical person can do that configuration. They don't need to know any SOQL. They don't need to write the syntax of that. Okay, so let's go to the org. And one more thing I want to tell you, last year only Salesforce did one more change. Previously, they used to provide this Salesforce org freely. Nowadays, it is not available freely. It is still available, but earlier it was available for lifetime, similar to a developer org. Developer orgs you can access for lifetime, but developer org with OmniStudio is not available for lifetime. So can anybody tell me how we can practice OmniStudio? So Trailhead is having playgrounds that is available for very limited period, 7 days, 15 days, very limited functionality. Yeah, right. And how we can get that? No. So just visit developer.salesforce.com, click on browse trials. So from here you can have free copy of your developer org for lifetime. But if you want to practice your OmniStudio, we have 30 days free trials for each industry specific cloud. Okay, so automotive cloud, communication cloud, consumer goods. So for if you go for communication cloud, if you click on compare free trials, so here you will find this free org. If you click on sign up, okay, before we click on sign up, you can read what all products this org includes. It has OmniStudio. Okay, so this is the workaround. You can spin up a org and then you can practice. So just click on sign up and you will see a page. If I already spinned up lots of org, that's why my information is available automatically. So just click on this I agree and submit the form. You don't need to provide any URL. Username will be generated automatically and you will be having an org created. Okay, this is just for 30 days. After 30 days, you won't be able to access it. And I think in 30 days, you can learn OmniStudio. It is very easy. Okay, and if you want to learn it yourself on my channel, I want to quote a name who taught me this OmniStudio, and we like curated this course together. Abhishek Agarwal. He is associated with Sierra Cloud. Right now, he's in Australia. So he was having like all the idea about OmniStudio. Then when we met, so since I am an educator, so if I meet you and frequently if we are meeting, so I will try to tell you, like, if you are having some knowledge, why don't you share with the community? So I I applied my brain of educator. He gave me the knowledge of OmniStudio. We combined those things, and that's how we created the content. Okay, so that any beginner can learn those things. So there are two playlists available. One where he explained all the concepts, and second playlist where we discussed all the use cases only. Okay, so it is very easy. You can easily learn those use cases by going through the concepts. Okay. So if we go to the org, so in the app launcher, you will find this package. So this OmniStudio package is available, which will be preloaded with this communication cloud. Here we'll be having all the tabs. If you want to create OmniScript, cards, flex card, data mapper, integration procedure, calculation matrices. So these are very less used. Mostly we use 4 entities: IP, data mapper, flex card, and OmniScripts. Okay, so let me create a data mapper quickly. So just click on new. Okay, it will give you the interface. Here, all the interface types are available that we discussed: extract, turbo extract, load, and transform. You just need to know what particular interface type will be doing. So if you want to fetch data from one object, you can pick data mapper extract, turbo extract, then data mapper turbo extract. Apply proper naming convention, because you will be having lots of data mappers. So if you start with DMTE, so you will be able to easily recognize like this is a data mapper turbo extract. And then let's say fetch accounts data. Okay, then input type JSON, XML, custom. So mostly we prefer JSON. Output type JSON, and then click on save. So this interface will be available. Simply select the object that you want to fetch. Now here you need to write extract output path. So it can be written like a list. So this will be a variable where data will be stored. Then filter, you can apply a condition, let's say annual revenue. It is greater than 1000. And then simply select the fields. So you can simply drag and drop to right side. If you want to search, you can search as well. Okay, so we just map them, then go to preview, click on execute. This is how you will be able to see the data within a minute, less than a minute, without knowing any SOQL, without memorizing, without thinking. Just click, and your data will be available. This is the JSON. Now, if IP is calling this data mapper, so this JSON you can pass to the IP, IP can process it, and further IP can pass it to the OmniScript. And on OmniScript, this JSON we can display on the UI. Okay, so you need to know, before start learning OmniStudio, you need to know how to write JSON. So here in this JSON, what is happening? So this ACC list is a list, okay? Because just after that we have square bracket. If you have a square bracket, it means this is a list. Inside this list, this part, this is an object. This is JavaScript object notation, okay? So if you had multiple records, like if you query it differently, if I write phone not equals to null, so we will fetch few more records. If you see it, now here we are having, this is first object, this is second object. So here object is representing your records. Okay, so ACC list is a list. Inside that we have number of records. So here records are basically known as object. Right? Here these records are known as object, and whatever fields we provided there, those we are able to fetch. So this is simple data mapper turbo extract. Now the limitation is it can deal with only one object. If you want to deal with two objects like parent child, child parent, then you need to go for data mapper extract. Okay, so let me show you data mapper extract. This way we configure it. So first object we selected account, then ACC list, filter condition, then second object opportunity which is related to that. Then here you can write ACC list colon OPP list. We are doing nesting. Okay, so OPP list will be available inside ACC list in the JSON path. How it will be visible? So if you see right hand side part, so we have ACC list. This is outer list. Inside that we have an object. That object is having a OPP list as an entity, nested list. So whenever you want to fetch data from OPP list, like OPP list is having name field, so you will write ACC list colon OPP list colon name. This is how we will be fetching the data. And that is very simple. So one time you need to learn all these terminologies, you will be able to quickly understand. So this is the filter condition for opportunity. Then we are linking it with account ID equals to ACC list colon ID. Okay, so that only related records we'll be able to fetch. Now, how to do the mapping? So this is output mapping. So we got the data into ACC list, account records. We got the data of opportunity like ACC list colon OPP list colon stage. And this is the output mapping. So here we can relabel the keys. Here we can relabel the keys. So for example, you don't like this stage name. You can simply write stage here. Okay, and this is how we create the mapping. If I create one more mapping, so let's say I want to display phone number or annual revenue. So I can choose this. So annual revenue is coming in ACC list. Then output path is ACC list. So I can write AR, annual revenue. This way I can relabel. And if we go to the preview and if I execute, so inside ACC list, we have all the opportunities which are related to that. And if we see, annual revenue is coming with AR label or stage is coming with stage. So the data which we fetched, we manipulated it with the mapping and then it will be available with you. So now if you pass this data to the IP, so these keys we will be using for that purpose, stage or AR. So as per the need, we can manipulate it. We can ease, because data mapper will give you all the API names. API names are very difficult to understand, so you can manipulate them. So this way your data mapper extract works. This is just a demonstration. It has lots of options, like we can apply some formulas here. Okay, so we can do a lot more things, but it is very easy to configure. Now, in case of Apex, if you want to apply parent to child SOQL, we need to remember child relationship name, if you know about parent-child SOQL, but here you don't need to do that. Okay, it is simple. You don't need to memorize anything. Now coming to IP, this is how your IP look like. Okay, so first of all, you will be providing its name, type, subtype. This is how you will be initiating it. Now, if you want to associate your data mapper with IP, okay, so we have these actions on left side. Data mapper extract action, data mapper post action, transform, turbo. These are related to data mapper. So you just need to simply drag and drop. It is already available here, and you just need to configure. The data mapper name you need to provide here. It will be connected automatically. Okay, and here we are passing the input parameter. So if your data mapper is having some mapping like this, if I show you, so here we are using this variable. So I hope you might know in Apex we can bind variables. So similarly in data mapper also we can bind the variable. If we are doing that, so it can fetch relevant data. So that mapping you need to do here. So we are passing data from IP, like which type of data we want to fetch, and according to that your data mapper is working. So both are now connected. Based on this input, your data mapper action will be working. Then we have this data mapper extract action. So it is similar to turbo. Okay, we have list action, email action, response action. So if I try to preview it, okay, so this way it will be showing you the result. So right now it is showing some error. Let me open another IP. Yeah, this is the correct one. Yeah, if you see here, we are using the conditional block as well. This is how you will be applying the conditions. So on top, we have these 4 blocks. Out of that, I have used one conditional block. This is the condition. If fetch contact equals to true, then only this data mapper will be working. Second condition, if fetch OPP equals to true, then this data mapper will be working. And how it will be receiving data? In preview, you can pass the data from here. Okay, so let's say fetch contact, you can pass true. Accordingly, it will be working. So if I preview it, you will see the data. Okay, so we can control IP. Through IP, we can control data mapper. Okay, so it is simple, but not that much simple. At least for few days, if you do practice, then you will be able to handle the IPs. Okay, and all the outcome of IP are coming from this response action. The preview which we are seeing, in the preview, outcome is coming through this response action. Okay, now let me show you OmniScript. So this is how OmniScript will be implemented. So this is a step similar to ScreenFlow. We drag and drop screens. So here we have steps. So we created a name component here, status component, where we can provide some inputs. And on the right side, we need to do the configuration. So if I click on it, so this is a name and field label. Then this is name. It is connected with the account object. Then this is status. It is also connected with account object. Then here I'm using data mapper post action. So data mapper, same data mapper I used in IP, and same data mapper I can use here as well. Okay, so whatever data we'll be receiving in the screen, that will be passed to this data mapper. Then we are showing a confirmation message and then navigation action. So navigation action means if you click on that particular record which is created right now, you will be redirected to that record. Okay, so if I show you the preview, so this is how it will look like. We have two steps. Okay, we created two steps, one for fetching the data and one for confirmation. Data mapper and navigation action, they are in the backend. They won't be visible on the UI. Okay, so if you have worked on the ScreenFlow also behaves similar to that. But in ScreenFlow, we don't see those steps. Okay, we need to create that through custom implementation, you will be able to do that. But here it is coming automatically. You just need to fill the information. And if you click on next, so it will give you the confirmation message. And if you click on next, it will automatically redirect to you that particular record. So right now we are in the preview. That's why it is not redirecting to that record. Once you activate this OmniScript, we can simply place it on the UI. So the way we place ScreenFlow or Lightning Web Component on the UI, similarly you can place your OmniScript. It is very easy. Okay, and this also works with the JSON. So whatever data we provided, it is available here. This account record got created automatically with the data mapper. Okay, and as I told you, its previous name was DR, Data Raptor. Still, it is not updated. It is DRID. So this is how you can relate. So few things Salesforce also doesn't change because it will impact the existing implementation. So it was not updated. We are using it as is as of now. So this ID we are using in the navigation action so that we can redirect to particular record. Okay, so this is how these four components are related to each other. If I go to the deck again, so this is how we do the configuration. Then data mapper load. So you can see a quick look of this. I didn't demo, but now you will be able to understand. Data mapper load means create a record. So in case of create a record, you need to pass JSON as input. Okay, extract will give you the JSON, but load will receive the JSON and then create the record. So based on that JSON, we are mapping values. So left side input JSON path, that is coming from here. Whatever keys you provided, you need to write it here. And second column is the domain object field. Whatever object APIs we have for fields, that you need to select. So it will be pre-populated, like in the pick list, it will be available. You can just select that value. So based on JSON, if we map, your records will be created. This is bulk record. So ACC list, square bracket to square bracket, one complete list. We have two records. Okay, you can say two objects. And this is how it will be written. Now, if we go back, it was just ACC name active. If we go forward, it is ACC list : because data is available inside the list. And earlier there was only one record, so that's why we were using it directly. So the way your JSON is, you need to map it, or you can say other way around. The way your data mapper load is implemented, same way you need to pass the input. Okay, as per the data mapper load, whatever mapping we have done, so your list name should be ACC list in the input. Then only it will be working, otherwise not. Okay, so this way it works. Then related records. So just read this JSON. It is too complex as compared to the previous one. Here we have nesting, ACC list. So we have one account record, ACC name, active, annual revenue, phone. These 4 fields are related to account. Then we have contact list. Contact list is available inside ACC list. So this you can understand the way you open the brackets. You need to map those. So we opened ACC list in the second line and it is ended in the second last line. Whatever we have written inside that, that is part of ACC list only. Inside that we have con list. So we have 2 contacts. Okay, so 1 account and 2 contacts will be created. And 2 configuration you need to do. One for account and another tab will be for contact. And in contact you will write ACC list, con list, contact fields. Okay, so first we need to understand the architecture of JSON, then it will be very easy for you to understand. Okay, then yeah, this is other thing. Yeah, again a complex JSON. Just try to relate and tell me how many accounts, contacts, and so how many accounts will be created? 2. And contacts will be related to which account? First one. So 1 account with 2 contact and another account will be just account, no contact. So this way also you can do. It is not necessary you need to anyhow include contact list. So it is optional. If you provide, that contact will be created, otherwise not. And this is for upsert. Can you differentiate between previous one? In previous one, we were creating the records. Okay. And this is for upsert. So what is the difference? Why it is upsert? There is ID, not multiple records. There is ID involved. And upsert means insert plus update. So if you check name, active, annual revenue, phone, and ID. So first account will update. With that account, 2 contacts will be there. So first account will update, where last name is Sam. And second contact will be created. Sorry, I said account. So with first account, 2 contacts will be there. The existing contact which has last name as Sam will be updated. And the second one will be created because there is no ID. Yes. So same data mapper load works for insert as well as update as well as upsert. Based on ID, it will track whether to insert or whether to update. Okay. So last account will also be created because there is no ID. Okay. Then integration procedure. So this I showed you. So this is how it is implemented. We have conditional block, 2 conditional block. Then each conditional block is having data mapper. It is old screenshot. That's why it is having data raptor. Okay, just to give you insight key, it was earlier data raptor and now it is data mapper. So sometimes it is confusing too. In old orgs which are already available with client, you will see data raptor. Okay, and in new orgs it will be data mapper. So you just need to remember that. And this is how we can pass the data. Okay, then OmniScript we already saw. This is the first step. Then we configured name, then we configured status. So on right side, you just need to do the configuration. Okay, so this whole thing we can create in LWC also. It will take around 1 hour. Here it will take around 5 to 10 minutes and no need to remember any syntax. Okay. Then this is the mapping that we did for data mapper. Then confirmation message, again, 1 step we added. Then this is navigation, navigate step. So we need to configure this and it is done. So I think this whole process will take 10 to 15 minutes. And if you do it with code, it will take 2 to 3 hours. So you can compare the time frame, how quickly it can be implemented. Okay. Yeah. So this is all about